Welcome to Stockholm. We are excited to share a little about this incredible Swedish city we got to explore. This part of our trip was short but packed with history, fun, and a few surprises.
Snuggly got his first stamp. Isn't that right, Snuggly?
Our main adventure here was a family bike tour with an amazing guide named Philip. Philip took us through 8 of the 14 islands that make up Stockholm. It's crazy to think that the city is built on so much water.
Philip was like a walking library. For example, did you know technology Bluetooth is named after a Viking king, Harald Bluetooth? He was famous for uniting Scandinavia way back in the 900s. The Bluetooth logo we use today is actually based on the ancient symbols for his initials.
We also learned about the Nobel Prizes. The Nobel Prizes was created by Alfred Nobel. Alfred Nobel created dynamite, but later in his life he decided to dedicate his fortune to award-winning achievements in science, literature, peace, and other fields.
The bike tour wasn't all history though. We stopped for snacks and even stumbled upon a little shop making poltergeist, a traditional Swedish candy similar to candy canes. We couldn't agree on whether it was the Germans or the Swedes who made it first, but we all agreed it was delicious.
And while we're on the subject of food, we have to talk about the seafood. It was so fresh and flavorful, it felt like it had been caught that morning. One of my favorite parts of the trip was learning about Swedish literature. We found out that Pippi Longstocking, the famous children's character, was created by a Swedish author. She's a bit of an icon here, and her adventurous spirit felt fitting for our trip.
The weekend we were there happened to be Stockholm's annual Culture Fest. The whole city felt alive with music, dancing, and performances from all over the world.
Overall, Stockholm gave us an incredible mix of history, culture, and fun. We only scratched the surface, but it was such a memorable experience. The next day, we continued our adventure with a train ride from Stockholm to Copenhagen. Traveling by train is the way to go. It allowed us to see the scenery between these two cities. When we arrived in Copenhagen, we checked into our hostel, The Generator. It was a perfect base to explore the city's charms. It was affordable for the family, and it would be highly recommended when staying just a short visit.
After checking in, we went out to explore the city, starting in Nyaven, with its colorful buildings and lively atmosphere. We strolled along the waterfront, soaking in the vibrant sights and sounds.
As evening approached on our first day, we ventured into the magical world of Tivoli Gardens. Opened in 1843, Tivoli is one of the oldest amusement parks in the world and has inspired countless others, including Disneyland.
That's gonna happen.
We spent the following day exploring more of Copenhagen, visiting iconic sites. From our hostel, everything was within easy walking distance.
Our first stop was Amalienborg Palace, home of the Danish royal family. The palace consists of 4 buildings surrounding a courtyard.
Next, we made our way to the famous Little Mermaid statue, inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's beloved fairy tale. This small bronze sculpture has become a symbol of Copenhagen. Interestingly, this fairy tale played a role in inspiring the Disney adaptation of The Little Mermaid.
We then headed over to Kastellet, a well-preserved star-shaped fortress built in the 17th century. It is now a peaceful park where locals jog and relax, offering beautiful views of the city.
Our final destination was Rosenborg Castle, a stunning Renaissance castle surrounded by the King's Gardens.
Copenhagen was like something out of a storybook. From the colorful canals of Nyhavn to the magical rides and sparkling lights of Diwali gardens, it felt like every corner of the city had something special waiting for us.
The next day we were ready for a brand new adventure. An overnight ferry from Copenhagen to Oslo was a perfect way to start our road trip through Norway.
When we got on the boat, we could not believe how big it was. There were cozy cabins, lounges, and even cafes to explore. We spent the first little bit playing card games together, which was so much fun.
And as soon as we were out on the water, we couldn't resist trying out the pool. Swimming on the boat while sailing through the sea, it felt pretty amazing.
At night, the trip got even more exciting. We went to a nightclub for families, grabbed some fancy drinks, and joined in on the games and dancing. The best part was Mom got picked to help with the magic show. She was so funny on stage.
We won! We won! We won! The Danish horse race we couldn't understand!
The next morning, we woke up to the most beautiful views. There were little islands everywhere, and the calm water was so pretty. It was such a relaxing way to start the day.
When we arrived in Oslo, it was just a short walk to the train station. That's where we picked up a car and sat out on our next part of our adventure, our road trip through Norway's amazing fjords. Our first stop on the road trip was visiting the Borgen Stave Church. It's one of the best preserved stave churches in Norway, built around 1180. These churches are named for their unique construction using wooden staves, which are upright timber frames. What's amazing is that only 28 of these medieval stave churches still exist, and Borgen is considered one of the finest examples. It's like stepping back in time.
Stave churches are part of Norway's Viking and medieval history. They were built during a time when Christianity was spreading, but you can still see a mix of Viking art and Christian symbols in the design. It's so cool to see how the history comes together in one place.
After Borgen, we drove to Flum, and the drive itself was unbelievable. Norway is full of these incredible tunnels that go straight through mountains. Some of them are miles and miles long, so instead of driving over mountains, you get to drive right through them. It's like being in a video game.
In Flum, we visited the Viking village in Gudvangen, which is super close by. This is a must-see if you're in the area. We learned what it meant to go Viking. Did you know that the word Viking wasn't just a noun? It was also a verb meaning to go raiding or exploring. The Viking village shows you what life was like during the Viking Age, how they dressed, what they ate, musical instruments they played, and their religious beliefs. It's amazing how much we learned about their culture.
The rain that day provided an endless display of waterfalls all around us, which was really special.
Those waterfalls.
Is it magical here? Is it beautiful? And another.
They even let us try some Viking-style activities and the weapons they used. It was such a fun and hands-on way to learn history.
Next we drove to Fjordland, and this place felt like a hidden gem. Along the way, we had to take a ferry, which is normal in Norway. Because there are so many fjords, the ferries are quick and efficient. But it's also a chance to take in some incredible views while crossing the water. Fjordland itself is a tiny, beautiful village surrounded by stunning mountains and fjords. It's known as the book town of Norway because of all the secondhand bookstores scattered around. The area feels so remote and peaceful, it's like stepping into a postcard.
On our first day in Fjordland, the weather was perfect, so we went on an amazing hike to the top of a mountain. Did you know there's a term in Norway called allemannsretten? It means every man's right, which allows everyone to walk, hike, and explore just about anywhere, even on private land, as long as you're respectful. It makes hiking here feel so free and special.
On the way down, we imagined trolls hiding in the forest. That became the biggest troll of all, jumping out to scare. But don't worry, we took him down with our imaginary arrows and escaped safely. The next day, we had a relaxing morning, and then we had an early lunch near the glacier nearby, enjoying breathtaking views. Then we visited the Norwegian Glacier Museum in Fjordland. This interactive museum is so perfect for families, offering hands-on exhibits where you can perform experiments with 1,000-year-old ice from nearby Stockholm Glacier.
The museum also has a climate exhibit that takes you on a journey through Earth's climate history, helping us understand how glaciers have shaped the landscape and their role in climate research.
It's a must visit to learn about the natural history of the area in a fun and engaging way. That afternoon, we tried something super unique, a floating sauna called dampened sauna. We booked our session online and just set up at our reserved time, but no one was there to check us in, so it felt like our own private adventure. The sauna floats on the fjord surrounded by the beautiful mountains we had recently explored, making it a truly special experience. After heating up inside, we jumped into the freezing fjord water. It was so cold but also so fun. Then we ran back into the sauna to warm up again. It was such an incredible experience and something we'll never forget.
That evening, we had a special meal at the Fjordland Hotel. Before dinner, the owner shared some history about the area, which made the experience even more meaningful. The 3-course menu was based on seasonal and local products, with ingredients sourced from local farmers in their own herb garden. We enjoyed dishes featuring local fish, deer, beef, lamb, honey, potatoes, and dairy, all while taking in the stunning views of the fjord. It was a meal to remember. After a few days in Fjordland, we continued our journey, driving the Silt, with a special lunch stop in Geiranger. The views over the Geiranger fjord were absolutely breathtaking.
In Silt, we stayed at a cozy Airbnb. We played soccer in the yard and card games in the living room. We also strolled around town and enjoyed cappuccinos at a little cafe by the water. One day we explored a nearby mountain and found a great spot for playing games and enjoying the scenery.
After a couple of days, we headed to Ellesund. It was a bigger city than the others we'd visited. We walked around and visited the aquarium. It was amazing to learn about the local marine life and salmon farming in the fjords.
In Adalsnes, we stayed at a rustic cabin on a farm. The views were great and we enjoyed getting to know the sheep. However, while befriending them, a ram suddenly decided to challenge me and give me a surprising nudge. I was a bit scared at first, but in the end we all ended up laughing about it.
The following day, we explored Trollstigen, an incredible road that winds up the mountain alongside breathtaking waterfalls. We hiked at the top and enjoyed the views. We took our time going back to the cabin, exploring along the way. It was always fun hiking because we got to scavenge for berries.
Your turn.
The highlight of the trip was taking the Romsdalen gondola up to the top of the mountain in Andalsnes. At the summit, we had an incredible meal at the restaurant, Egen. The views were unforgettable. This is our first one. Was our first one.
Our second meal is flounder.
Flounder's coming up next.
And we have the whole restaurant to ourselves. Nobody's here.
course number 3. And we still have one more meal dish and one more dessert. We've already ate 2 appetizers and 1 meal.
What was this?
Chicken.
How do you
Really
like?
good chicken.
Well, seeing as it's all gone.
And the dessert is called chocolate. While in Doll's Nest, we also tried indoor rock climbing, one of our favorite activities. The rest of our time was spent enjoying local food and relaxing in our Airbnb.
After a few days, we returned to Oslo. We had one night there, and Dad wanted to see the famous Opera House. It's a big, beautiful, modern building. We bought tickets for a show without knowing much about it. It turned out to be a heavy metal rock performance. Definitely a unique experience.
We didn't make it through the whole performance, but that worked out because we got to explore outside while enjoying the sunset.
So on 3, show me the score for how you guys thought that concert went. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Zeta liked it the best.
2.5.
The next morning, we took a train from Oslo back to Stockholm.
Fresh squeezed.
There was a little hiccup in the plans, but we made it back in time to catch our flight home. Mostly. Due to delays, we ended up staying a night in Dublin, Ireland. We made the best of it by exploring the city, touring the Guinness storehouse, visiting Trinity College, and even taking a horse-drawn carriage ride through town.
This unexpected detour added an extra layer of adventure to our trip, making it even more memorable.
Gotta get some home horse.
Our Scandinavian journey was filled with unforgettable experiences, from exploring historic state churches and Viking villages to hiking majestic mountains and relaxing in floating saunas.
We immersed ourselves in the rich culture of Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, discovering the beauty of their landscapes and the warmth of their people.
This trip taught us the joy of adventure and the value of family time, creating memories we'll cherish forever.
As we return home, we carry with us the stories and lessons from our travels, eager for the next adventure that awaits.